Throughout this channel, I've been talking about the main stakeholders of the gaming industry, PlayStation and Xbox, but I never bothered to go in depth about the other side of gaming. Well, the one company that kickstarted making gaming mainstream. That's right, we're talking about Nintendo. I could do a full video about the NES and how important it was in starting the gaming revolution back in the 80s, but since I don't have an NES, I decided to focus on the console that beat both PS3 and Xbox 360 in the 2000s. The true underdog who took a laughed at idea and turned it into one of the most popular consoles for its generation. In the 2000s, the gaming market was Nintendo's to win, with them just selling millions of Nintendo DS's, becoming the most popular handheld console in the world. They truly had ambitions for the 2000s, not only to revolutionize the gaming industry, but to bring it back into the family spotlight. The Wii truly did change the industry of motion controls, allowing for big players such as PlayStation and Xbox to try their hand at motion controls as well, being heavily influenced by the Wii. The Wii changed the world, and here's why you need to pick one up in 2021. If you guys haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below and also hit the bell icon so you won't miss any future videos. I'm going to be posting more of these Is It Worth It every week, and by you hitting the subscribe button, you'll be showing your support, but without further ado, let's get right into it. The Wii truly was a revolutionary console in its industry, and brought Nintendo out of their somewhat failure GameCube after selling a pitiful 21 million units. To be honest, the GameCube wasn't a failure in my opinion, specifically when it comes to the games or functionality of it. It's only because the PS2 came out during the GameCube's launch and completely overshadowed it. Video on that in the right hand corner. The Wii began development as early as 2001, just after the release of the GameCube. In developing the Wii, Nintendo president Satoru Iwata directed the company to avoid competing with Microsoft and Sony on computational graphics and power, and instead to target a broader demographic of players through novel gameplay. Game designers such as Shigeru Miyamoto, Genyo Takeda led the console's development under the codename Revolution. Over the next 2 years, sales of the GameCube languished behind its competitors, Sony's PlayStation 2 and Microsoft's Xbox. Satoru Iwata, who had been promoted to Nintendo's president in May 2002 following Hiroshi Yamauchi's retirement, recognized that Nintendo had not been keeping up with the trends in the video game industry, such as adopting online gaming. He also thought that the gaming industry had become too exclusive and wanted Nintendo to pursue a gaming hardware and software that would appeal to all demographics. Nintendo's market analysis found that their focus on novel hardware had created consoles that made it difficult for third-party developers to create games for. Iwata wanted their next console to be capable of playing past Nintendo games, eliminating clutter in the houses. Takeda also led the team to building the console's hardware components, and Miyamoto spearheaded the development of the new controller, based on Duration's motion sensing technology. The Nintendo DS was said to have influenced the Wii's design, as the company found that the DS's novel two-screen interface had drawn in non-traditional players and wanted to replicate that on the new console. The Wii Remote, a wireless controller with both motion sensing and traditional controls that can be used as a pointing device towards a television screen or for gesture recognition, was the console's primary controller. The Wii was the first Nintendo console to also support direct internet connectivity, allowing for both online gaming and digital distribution of games and media apps through the Wii Shop channel. The Wii also supported wireless connectivity with Nintendo DS handhelds for selective games. The initial Wii models included a full backwards compatibility for the GameCube. The Wii was initially released in the States on November 19, 2006, just 5 years after the GameCube, for an initial price of $249. You see, the launch of the Wii was a crazy launch. I mean, it was good, but was just your standard console launch. What made it special was the TV ads. They put a direct emphasis on the family aspect of gaming, so that it's not just a novelty for 5 minutes, but can be explored for hours on end from any person. The slogan they created was "We Would Like to Play," which aimed to broaden the audience of gaming, as well as creating a message that gaming isn't just for basement-dwelling leeches, but is for everyone. This message is what single-handedly pushed the Wii to sell over 100 million units and beat out PlayStation and Xbox in the 7th generation. Speaking of beating out stuff, did you know that the Wii had the most underwhelming specs of the 7th generation? Yeah, me too. But that wasn't Nintendo's focus. As laid out previously, they didn't want to focus on making the most powerful console. They would rather focus on making quality games for the system. The console is literally an overclocked GameCube. I am not kidding about that one. The Wii came with an IBM PowerPC Broadway CPU, clocked at 729MHz, 24MB of SRAM, 64MB of GDDR3 RAM, an ATI Hollywood GPU, 512 megabytes of system storage, Wi-Fi connectivity, and resolutions up to 480p. Sure, the other consoles in this competition had the beefier system, but the Wii made up for that with its price. The Wii started out at $249, then Xbox 360 started out at $299, and the PlayStation 3 at a measly $599. Now, with the history out of the way, let's begin with why you need to own one in 2021. Let's start with the design. The design of the Wii was extremely simplistic, with it featuring a glossy finish as well as a clean front that showcases the buttons needed to power the console, to reset it, and to eject the disc. It also came with an SD card slot at the front with a controller sync button. On top of the system, you also had the GameCube controller ports as well as the memory card slots, because this console could play GameCube games, but I'll get into that shortly. On the back, you had the standard I/O with 2 USB ports, AV out, the port for a sensor bar, and the power input. The design of the system was kept simplistic, as well as really small, so it could not only fit into any backpack when taking it to other houses to play, but also so it fits well in the living room, not being obnoxious and taking up space. Its simple design was to cater to families who just wanted a console that can sit on the table, not taking up space, as well as not being an eyesore to look at. I'm not saying that the other consoles of this generation were awful to look at, like I love the design of the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, but they were pretty big when they first came out. The Wii Remotes became a staple in the motion capture generation, with them being some of the best ways to play and experience some of the Wii's greatest games. The Wii came standard with the Wii Remote, which was a wireless rectangle block thing that had buttons on it. This was the way that you could steer your character in 3D space, and it allowed for some great experiences, and some not great experiences. The remote is nice and compact and is built well. It came with a nunchuck, which helped in a lot of games as you wanted more control over your character. Overall, the Wii controller is simple to use, as it had to appeal to Nintendo's main demographic, which was families. The Wii then came out with a standard Wii Classic controller, which looks similar to the SNES. The controllers were so successful because they were simple and intuitive, also really functional. The Wii was also promoted heavily in the media as a healthy alternative to some other consoles, as its Wii Motion could allow for exercise between users with the Wii Fitness game and mat that came with it. Some rehabilitation clinics also use the Wii to help patients stay active, whilst also helping with physical rehab against strokes, cerebral palsy, and Parkinson's disease. The Wii came with its UI, which was easy to navigate with all your applications being hosted in small boxes, lined up for ease of use. The application that made the Wii a great console was the Me area, which you could create your own 3D character with any facial features you wanted, and have them be featured in any games of your choice. Wii Sport made use of the Miis, as you could select them to be your own playable character. The Wii also had online services, which was utilized in a lot of games and some applications. You also had the weather channel, news channel, and some other applications to make your life somewhat easy. The Wii also had an online ordering service where you could order food to your house using the console. These applications were Nintendo's way of saying that they have caught up with the other consoles in their functionality. For a time, you could actually play the majority of Nintendo's oldest games from different consoles, like the NES, SNES, and N64. Later updates allowed you to play on other games from the Commodore 64 and Sega consoles. Sadly though, Virtual Console has been discontinued on the Wii, but on other platforms it still supports it. The Wii was also revised into a mini edition, which was fully red and had a matte finish on top. It had no Wi-Fi and had a top disc eject area. Not the greatest idea for Nintendo, because what's the point of buying this where you can just get an original Wii for cheaper and it has online connectivity. The Wii came with some amazing games, like some of the greatest games that Nintendo has ever created. Notable bestsellers are Wii Sports, Mario Kart, Legend of Zelda, Skyward Sword, Donkey Kong Country Returns, Xenoblade Chronicles, Fire Emblem, and Super Mario Bros. All of these games use the Wii functionality perfectly and expanded on it. My two favorite games on the system were Mario Kart and the Metroid Prime trilogy. I'm sure everyone can remember Mario Kart. This is the game that everyone can enjoy. Not just for playing the objective, but for messing around and not taking the game seriously. 4-player races and battles would be absolute chaos. This is the game that introduced so many to Nintendo, and this was for many their first Nintendo game. Don't believe me? Go watch Jay Schlatt's video on his tribute to Mario Kart. This is what I consider to be some of the best content he's ever created. Moving on, we have what I consider to be the greatest Nintendo series ever created. I mean, who am I kidding? This game was amazing. Metroid was my introduction to the action-adventure genre, which I felt was truly realized only until the Prime trilogy. It created some of the best moments of just exploring planets alone with some banging tracks and nothing but shooting alien dudes in the face. Like, come on, piss off Ridley. No matter how many times I shoot this bastard in the face, he still comes back. I mean, yeah, this game was a masterpiece. My favorite game from the trilogy would definitely have to be Prime 3 Corruption. I love the beginning where you start off on Samus's ship and you manually interact with the ship as if you were the pilot, and the late game where you could call the ship in to any part of the map and travel to any location. These little game mechanics is what made Prime 3 so much fun. It built upon a lot of the principles from earlier Prime games, making mechanics a lot more refined. Prime 3 had a bigger focus on the characters, with introducing other bounty hunters for you to be friends with. The story really just doesn't end there, with each character being voice acted to a really good standard. I mean, sure, there was some hand holding, but it was done to help newer players get a feel for the game. The music was amazing as well, and was done to perfection with every piece fitting to each location you travel to. The Prime Trilogy was the best Metroid game on the Wii, hands down. I mean, there were no other Metroid games that were on the platform. Yeah, we're not talking about that one. The library of games was also expanded to the GameCube library, as you could play all GC games on the Wii. Another great reason to pick one up in 2021. The Wii also had great modding potential. Now, I know how anal Nintendo is about modding consoles, but it's a 14-year-old console and they don't even officially support it anymore. I think we can let homebrew enthusiasts have this. The modding capabilities of the Wii has become a popular target for homebrewing. For example, homebrew projects have been able to add DVD playback to unmodified Wii consoles. The Wii has also been hacked to enable the owner to use a console for activities unintended by the manufacturer. The Wii has also been a popular system for emulation. While the act of creating such emulators in a clean room type have been determined to be legal, the actions of bringing the Wii system software and games to other systems have been questionable practices, and Nintendo has actively pursued legal action against those who distribute copies of their software. The open source Dolphin project has been able to successfully emulate the Wii and GameCube games to the PC. Some arguments I've ran into about owning the Wii in 2021 are pointless because you can just emulate it on PC. While this is true and possible, it can get incredibly intensive on the CPU, and just makes the whole idea pointless when you don't have a great computer, and everything just stutters constantly. I would not recommend emulation unless you have a beefy system that can handle it. Until proper optimization is applied to the software, I'm still going to be holding on to my Wii. So to recap, there are many reasons to buy a Wii in 2021. For one, the game library extends to the GameCube. The physical activity functionality of the Wii allows for exercise to occur. The modding potential, since you can expand the library of games to the NES, SNES, and more through emulation of the system, as well as adding new functionality. The design of the system can also complement any setting, as it is small and simple. It is also a great pickup for kids who just want a simple console to play for hours on end, as it adds intuitive functionality that can be enjoyed by not only kids, but other family members. The Wii was truly an amazing system, with some great games to complement it. This has been Nathan Hines, and I hope to see you all in the next video.